Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today we're going to take a closer look at this Park Tools ATD 1.2. This is an adjustable torque driver. It's designed primarily for bicycles, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I had a commenter the other day ask about some of the campy parts. I think they, in specific, were looking for one of these. This is a crank arm remover, or crank remover, and you use it with this wrench that I had featured before. It was called a peanut butter wrench. So it's 15 millimeter, so you'd use that to screw this into the threaded portion of the crank arm, the center, and then you'd use this thing to spin it until you forced the crank out. So, you know, a lot of the bicycle cranks, earlier ones, not now as much, but were actually just press fit in. So if you did it wrong, and this is kind of leading to torques, a lot of times you'd crank on it as hard as you possibly could, and what would happen is it would spread the aluminum, and then the crank wouldn't fit on very snugly under normal specifications, so you'd have to crank it even harder until it finally, you know, was hitting the frame, because it just expanded the arm so much that it slid all the way up against the bike. Park Tool, on the other hand, has upgraded this. This used to be called a peanut butter wrench, because you'd eat peanut butter out of a jar when you were bicycle racing, and that was your implement. But Park Bicycle Tools now makes this this more, I guess, civilized peanut butter wrench. Here's another campy. This was one of my favorites. It's an 810 or 1012, excuse me, wrench there. And of course, if you do campy cranks, you've got to use the Campagnolo bolts, these old steel bolts. I still have them. I actually, back in the day, was high-tech and went to these little titanium ones that cost a fortune. And then you always took these off because they weighed a lot. They were actual steel. I think they're, yeah, they stick to the magnet pretty well. But those were the dust covers, basically, to protect the threads. So you could get this thing in there when the time came. But anyway, Park Tools makes a lot of great stuff. In fact, I've heard some of the stuff is actually made by Snap-on. A lot of it's USA made. This is actually, they say it's made/assembled, you know, with global materials in Minnesota. But what this thing is a shop duty torque driver that has settings from 4 Newton meters, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. You can see those. There we go. So it's very specific. It's great for certain things. It works well for, you know, things like seat posts, handlebars, and stems. In fact, a lot of times over-torquing is the reason for a lot of failure with some of the more high-tech materials like carbon fiber. And for attaching, possibly, it depends, rotors on disc brakes. Some of them go up a little bit higher, up to 8 or greater. But anyway, this is a shop duty tool. It's actually designed for daily or weekly use, whereas something like this ultralight little Silka here with, you know, kind of a hard to do adjustment, you just twist it until you're at the right setting, is more like emergency roadside stuff, or if you're traveling. So yes, you can use it, but it's not a daily driver. So anyway, let's take a closer look at it. It does come with 3 bits here, one in the chamber, and this is a little rubberized cap. I don't know the quality of these. They seem okay, and for the torque driving that we're going to be doing, they're probably plenty good, but sometimes, you know, I like to use much better things. Other torque wrenches, obviously you can use, you know, kind of the auto shop style, you know, This little 1/4-inch Snap-on was always my go-to. It also goes up quite a bit higher, but struggles down low. And that's one of the problems with it. And I have to convert it because it's just got inch pounds. Here's this one's branded by Vortex, which is the company that makes you know, optics and things like that. This is also a decent one. It uses the standard 1/4-inch bits, but it's got a fairly large range, so it's not quite the good bike one. This one is dedicated. In fact, a lot of times if you're doing a bunch of assemblies, new bikes come in, you got, you know, 15 of them to put together, you're going to be using a lot of the same torque values. So let's take a closer look at this thing. I've got it set on its lowest setting. This is a little tough to turn, especially if your hands were greasy. You can use a hex key to turn it to make it a lot easier to turn. So we'll set it at 4 and run through its paces. I've just got a little bolt here. I was going to use a bike wheel, but I'd probably be knocking everything over trying to show you. Standard T-handle. This or this down here, as far as I can tell, does absolutely nothing. Even I've seen schematics of the inside of these things. I don't know. I don't know what if it's threaded or what, but for calibration, I assume crack it open. There's kind of this spring in this section of it right here that's pushing against a multifaceted, almost like a bolt, but a bolt with different sized or different thicknesses, basically to adjust the spring tension. And then there's a bolt that runs through here with 2 nuts on it, and you can adjust those nuts basically to adjust the spring tension on the rotational part up here. So it should be pretty easy to recalibrate. I've heard of a few of these running a little bit hot though, a little high. But anyway, so I've got it set on 4, so I can basically turn this. I'm so used to ratcheting things, it would be nice. Okay, 1 click, that's good. That's 4, we'll go to 4.5, only turns one way. Crank it a little tighter, seems like a lot. Oh, there's 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. Whoops, went all the way around. I'm gonna try that again. There we go. 6. Come on, my bolt's slipping on the back. It shouldn't be. There we go. So it does seem to evenly space those out, just feeling it by hand, but that is a whole lot less than I've seen a lot of people, especially if they're using shop-size wrenches, or sockets or ratchet handles, just cranking on things until they're stuck. A lot of seat post collars break, a lot of stems break, bottle cages. People just wail on these, and I mean they just strip out from the frame. So that's where having a good torque wrench and actually following the torque specs is important. They're not cheap. They're about $70, 70 to 80, depending on where you get it. Amazon, I think it was like 71. Bike shops, I priced them before this video, and it was about 80, 79, 80. But anyway, Park makes great tools. I've heard good things about the warranty. I've never had to warranty any of my Park tools. And I've got quite a few of them, but anyway, there it is, the Park Tool ADT 1.2, the adjustable torque driver. And with that, Doc out.